Today I'm going to show you how to make homemade cream eggs. This recipe made 3 whole eggs or 6 halves. You will need 150 grams of milk chocolate, 150 grams of white fondant, 1 tablespoon of hot water, and some yellow food colouring. You can use either liquid or gel based food colouring with this because we don't have to worry about cooking it so the colours won't run. And you will want an egg tray, preferably silicone because it is much easier to get the eggs out, but if you have a hard plastic egg tray you can use that as well. The egg tray that I have used, the eggs themselves measure 4.5 centimetres by 6 centimetres and are about 2 centimetres deep. Firstly, we want to temper the chocolate. So pop a few squares of your chocolate to one side. We will need this for melting to seal the 2 sides of the eggs together later on. Then with the remaining chocolate, you want to chop it as finely as you can. So with tempering chocolate, there are 3 different techniques that you can do. There's the classic way of tempering chocolate, which usually includes a marble board, and it's very temperature controlled, so you need to have a thermometer for that one. There's the seeding method, where you reserve some unmelted chocolate that you then add to help it form the crystals that we want. But again, this one requires a thermometer. And while I do have a thermometer, I want to show you the easiest way of doing this where you don't require the most equipment, because I am aware that not everybody is able to buy a food thermometer, so I want to show you the way that you can do this without equipment. But if you have a particular way that you like to temper your own chocolate, by all means temper the chocolate that way. I'll just show you what I like to call the cheats way via microwave. So having chopped the chocolate and put it in a microwavable bowl, pop in the microwave for 30 seconds. Once it's been in the microwave for 30 seconds, give it a stir. It should start to melt, but it won't be quite melted yet. And then we are going to put it in the microwave for 10-second blasts only until it has melted. You don't want it too hot. So the theory behind doing it this way is that the crystals that we want the chocolate to form with, which is what makes it hard, and that you can handle it at room temperature, and it gives it that nice shiny edge. Those crystals break down over a certain temperature. So if your chocolate goes above 30 degrees Celsius or 86 degrees Fahrenheit, the crystals that we want to keep will start to break down, and that's when your chocolate won't temper hard. It will then temper that it's really soft and it just won't set. So by doing it in the microwave at 10-second blasts, when that chocolate has melted to the point where you can keep mixing it so that it melts more, by keeping it under 30 degrees Celsius, that will keep those crystals that we want, and then it should then set hard. So for myself, it only took the initial 30-second blast and 2 blasts of 10 seconds to get it to melt enough that I could mix it to melt it further. Then you want to spoon the chocolate into your moulds. Make sure there is no water in those moulds, otherwise it will curdle the chocolate and it will split. If you want to put a bit of oil in there to make sure that they pop out, by all means you can do, but by using a silicone mould, it means that the chocolate is easier to pop out. And you want to spread that chocolate so then it goes up the sides and covers the whole mould. And then pop that in the fridge to allow it to harden. Once the shells had hardened, I had a little bit of chocolate left in the bowl that I just popped in the microwave for 10 seconds just to loosen it up again, that I then filled in any gaps or any thin parts of the shell, and then pop that back into the fridge to allow it to harden. And now for the filling, you want to grate your fondant. This may take a little bit of time because the fondant is soft, it does not want to grate. Be patient with it, it will work. but you want to grate it as fine as possible, because when we add that water, the finer it is, the easier it is to mix in. Otherwise you might get lumpy bits of fondant in it, so do take the time to make sure it's properly grated. Then add your tablespoon of boiling hot water. Do be careful at this point with hot water, I don't want anyone burning themselves. And then just mix that in thoroughly until you've got a nice creamy consistency. Then take about a quarter of that mixture and pop it in a different bowl, and then add your food colouring until you get that desired yellow yolk colour. Then, having taken the chocolate shells out of the fridge, you then want to fill up the chocolate shells with your white fondant, leaving a little bit of space so then you can put a blob of the yellow fondant in as well. And then we just want to take those shells out of the mould. So like I say, it's so much easier with the silicone mould if you can get one, by just pulling at the sides of the silicone. It loosens the chocolate out, so then you can just pop it out. If you do have a hard plastic mould, it is easier if you put oil in beforehand, just so then it should pop out a lot easier for you. And then, having finely chopped the remaining chocolate that we saved earlier, pop that in the microwave. For this, because it's such a small amount of chocolate, 10-second blasts only until it is just melted. And then, either using a spoon or using a piping bag, you just want to pipe around one of the edges of your eggs and then pop one of the other halves of the eggs on top to join them together. I then just go around the edges just to fill in any holes where they've joined with that melted chocolate. And there you have it. That's how you make homemade cream eggs.